What many people see is the pulpit. What they rarely see is the weight behind the pulpit. Ministry is beautiful, but ministry is also costly. A minister of the gospel carries burdens that are often too sacred to explain publicly and too painful to describe casually. The same people who shout more grace sometimes become the same people who misunderstand your silence, question your motives, or disappear when seasons change. Membership fluctuations can wound deeply, not because numbers define ministry, but because every soul matters to its shepherd. Sometimes people live quietly, sometimes they live loudly, sometimes they live carrying offenses you never knew existed. And in moments like that, a minister begins to question and ask difficult questions. Did I fail? Did I miss God? Was my labor in vain? Yet scriptures remind us that even Jesus watched people walk away from him. The pain of ministry is not always persecution from the world. Sometimes it is betrayal from those closest to you. Friends in ministry become competitors, brothers become critics, people you prayed for begin to speak against you. Members form caucuses, cycles, and camps, subtly shaming anyone who does not belong to their preferred group. And somehow, in the middle of all this, the gospel is still being preached. One of the greatest misconceptions about ministry is the assumption that every pastor is wealthy, manipulative, or feeding on members. This stereotype has unfairly stained many genuine servants of God who sacrifice privately, give sacrificially, and survive silently. Many ministers are carrying financial burdens while still encouraging others to trust God. Many go home exhausted after pouring strength into others. On the other hand, there are also those who think ministry is easy, that preaching is simply talking, praying, and receiving offerings. They do not see the emotional warfare, the sleepless nights, the counseling, the intercession, the attacks, the loneliness, the responsibility of souls, and the constant pressure to remain spiritually alive while helping others stay afloat. Ministry can become lonely. You smile publicly while bleeding privately. You encourage people while fighting discouragement yourself. You preach faith while wrestling through unanswered questions. You stand strong for others while hoping someone notices your own weariness. And when mistakes happen, ministers are rarely given the grace they preach to others. One error can suddenly make years of sacrifice invisible in the eyes of men. The same society that demands authenticity from ministers often weaponizes their humanity when it appears. Yet, despite it all, true ministers continue. Not because applause sustains them, not because crowds validate them, not because titles satisfy them, but because somewhere deep within them is a call they cannot deny, a divine burden, a heavenly assignment, a conviction that one day they will stand before God and give account for their lives entrusted to them. That is what keeps many ministers going when the tears fall after service. That is what keeps them preaching after betrayal. That is what keeps them loving people after disappointments. That is what keeps them kneeling before God when they feel misunderstood by men. The danger of this generation is not only false doctrine, it is also the gradual loss of compassion for those carrying the gospel. We have become quick to analyze ministers, expose ministers, compare ministers, stereotype ministers, but slow to pray for them. Sometimes one wonders, are we still preaching the same gospel that teaches mercy, restoration, humility, truth, and love? Because the gospel was never meant to produce cliques, superiority, manipulation, and performance culture. The gospel is still about Christ, his truth, his sacrifice, his mercy, and his kingdom. And in all of this, a genuine servant of God must keep his eyes on the one who called him. Men will misunderstand you. People will leave. Voices will rise and fall. Critics will speak. Seasons will change. But God remains faithful. At the end of it all, the greatest comfort of ministry is this: not everybody will understand your journey, but God sees your labor. He sees the tears behind the sermons. He sees the sacrifices behind the smiles. He sees the sincerity hidden beneath the accusations. He sees the days you wanted to stop but still showed up. And ultimately, it is before Him, not men, that every minister will stand. So even through the sighs, the disappointment, the loneliness, and the misunderstandings, hold on to God. Hold on to truth. Hold on to your calling. Hold on to the gospel. Because heaven still keep record of faithful servants. Amen.